So now that you have this pattern, you're ready to get started with a beautiful journey. This is Rihan Mugawer. I'm the owner of Order Out of Case Studio, where everything we make is all about paper quilling and paper art, and we're just exploring the boundaries of this beautiful medium. Here's the pattern, and in this video, all what I'm trying to do is give you some tips and tricks. I'll give you some steps how we did that, how to merge some colors in between and blend with different techniques and different supplies that I will be introducing on this video. In addition to that, at the end of the video, you'll be able to create those pieces. And not only that, but you can even create a different assembly and different arrangement, and that's the point. So you can take this and create it exactly as it is, as the pattern, or even create an arrangement of your own creation, and that's the beautiful part about it. So I would love to see what you're gonna come up with. So let's get you started now. Supplies needed: 3mm paper strips, archival grade. I've used greens and peach and yellows. Also, I've hand cut one archival paper to 10mm, and that's the only one that I did need to hand cut a couple of strips of it. Slotted needle and tweezers, scissors, sharp ones, glue applicator or any wooden stick would work, tacky glue and transparent glue, and water-based markers. Last but not least, quilling comp with narrow pegs or regular comp with narrow pegs. Get your fingertips ready and let's get started. In here I'll be demonstrating some of the greenery used in the project, like the pine leaves, and I'll show you how did we do it. And the fantastic part about it, these are purely by hand, no need for any tools except for your strips of paper. So for this time you're gonna start by folding a strip of paper and gluing the in-between with the tacky glue, since it's a very fast drying glue. Make sure that all of the layers are aligned. Once it's dry, you'll feel how sturdy it becomes, and once you're done, just trim it at the desired length. Looking at the leaves, they're very similar to the way we've created the stem, so you just need to get your strips of paper and fold smaller ones, loop them 3 times, and for that you don't need to glue the in-between because we need some shadows. And then when you trim it a little bit lower so you can easily assemble them and they're secured on the stem. Glue just the last bit at the end, just secure it with the adhesive glue, the tacky glue. One additional thing that I add for this, I tend to trim a little bit at the edge like a triangle shape to give it more dimension, from few millimeters to 3. It's like a gradient, and it gives it more shadow as well. And once you're having multiples of these as units or modular units, you can assemble them, align them on the stem as easy as that. Another trick that I do sometimes is that I add 2 different colors and I wrap them 3 times, and still I don't need to glue the in-between except for the last bit. I trim and I secure the end of my leaf. Keep on creating all of those pieces, multiple of them. Probably you would need around 30, sometimes even more. It depends on the length of your stem. Blend as many colors as you want. It always gives a more natural look. And the other thing is, when we are assembling them, put them at different angles. Some are up, some are tilted 45 degrees, or just play around with it to give this little bit of dynamic movement, which is the natural way how it looks. They're not really aligned left and right. Some of them are up and down. The more you put some angles while assembling your pieces, it helps to give it this natural look. And you can see how the shadows are nice when you added a pinch of other green. And here we go. So that was for the pine leaves. Let's go for another one. For this one, type 2 and 3, they're very similar. Type 2 is basically you're going to do the exact same stem with your hand, fold it 3 times. Make sure to glue the in-between. trim at the desired length, and start gluing in between the layers to get it firm and sturdy. And here we go. The next would be to create some side stems, and for those, they're the same, but this time we don't need to cut any triangular shapes. You just need to trim it a little bit at an extended point so you can easily stick it to your stem. And here, that's the way I do blend it. So I add another strip of color in between to give it a little hue of this peachy color in between, like the autumn vibes in this one. Glue it from both sides so it's secured. And that's the stem where all of those little leaves will be attached to. Use this extended part to glue them. And the tweezer is one way of actually using it for every narrow corner. That would be awesome. Now I want you to cut lots of mini strips, so every strip maybe cut it into 6 pieces, different colors, because we're gonna blend some of those like we always do. Get 2 strips and use your slotted needle to create tight coils. I didn't need to glue anything, just roll them using your slotted needle in a tight coil. Just secure the end with the tacky glue. And use the back of your needle to give it a little bit of a dome 3D effect. And in order to keep it in this shape, you just need to add some of the clear glue at the back and give it a little pinch at the end. Keep on mixing different colors, maybe greens, maybe peach. Just roll tight coils, give them a little pinch, and push them with the back of the needle to create a dome shape. Push it, pinch it, and glue the back. And here we go. And when we align them, you simply add the glue on the stem and attach them to the stem part. Very thin layer. The less glue, the cleaner the project would be. It's amazing how a small drop of glue can actually get things securely attached, specifically the good type. So keep on adding one leaf to the other, and you'll see how beautifully they are with the blend of colors that you've added. One after the other, keep on adding the modules until they are all done. Here we've got a very similar type. It's all about the length of the stem, and then instead of pinching it, we just kept it in a tight coil. The only thing that I will add on this one is a type of blending that I do, which is simply using markers. So I use the water-based markers to give it a little bit of a touch of color on top. How simple and beautiful this technique is, and you can do lots of things using the water-based markers, not just this technique, but I'm sure that you're going to use it in many others. For the 4th type of greenery that we have for today, I'm using the comb, and for that we're going to do the wave technique. As you always know that I like to blend colors, so I've started by using 2 colors, and I'll start going under the peg. So secure the center, go under the peg, up and under again, back and forth until you have 3 loops on each side in addition to the central one. Go under and over, over, under, over, under, over, and under. Slide it out. and roll the rest of the strips. And I always like to trim it at the point, specifically for the middle central one, because this one has a little bit of a different stem. Trim it at the edge so no one would know where you started, where you ended. It looks like an infinite loop. For this stem, I like to wrap it around the center point. So wrap it around and stick it together, the two sides, the double paper. And let's do another one from the side petals or leaves. This one is very much improvised, like it's not really inspired from something natural, but I like how it turned out. You're gonna go over and under, over, under, and you can keep on with the same size all over, or you can choose to say I'm gonna start with 3 and then the next row would be 4, 5 loops on each side and so on, so you have a different, at the end it will look from smaller to large petals. Okay, once I'm done with my 3 loops, I'm gonna slide it out. And in here, probably I'm gonna face a little troubleshooting, but that's a good thing because we learn from our troubleshooting. Okay, you're gonna wrap it around, but there is 2 ways of doing the border for this one. One is to actually let the light paper do the border and trim it down there, and this will give it a little bit of a lighter look. Do you see that? But if I want the green to be the top one, I'll just add and attach another strip of paper to create the border. And because it's a side petal, I'm not gonna cut it exactly at the edge, but I'm gonna extend it a little to make it easy for me when I'm attaching them to the stem. And here we go. So you can keep on adding more different sizes from smaller to big or the exact same size. It's totally up to you. Play with the different colors, like more peachy, more yellowish. It also gives a nice blend too. Enjoy making lots of greenery, and I'll see you in the florals. Let's start with one interesting technique, which is the fringe technique. This technique, you can use it as a detail or as a flower on its own, or as a different type of florals. All what you need to do is to prepare a fringe strip of a 1/2 inch and start snipping it, very fine snips. As close as you can from one another gives it more density. And then you can start by blending with tombos or any water-based markers to create some shadows and effects. When rolling it around, that's when we can actually play around. So if you do it on an angle, you twist it all the way down. So you'll come up with a bunny tail or pompous pants or florals. Just keep the fringe all out, add a little stick, and it will give this boho style in your piece. You can always secure the entire plant from the inside with the glue to keep it stiff and sturdy. And that's all. When you've got a couple of them, they're lovely. They're very trendy with the boho style at the moment. Same thing, you can use it as just a coil or with a center. Let's explore a little bit more on how to get some florals. So start by twisting or actually coiling the entire fringe from the center all the way out, and this can be a flower on its own or it can be the center of a flower. So both options are great. Secure it with the glue and just get the fringe all out. And if you look at the flowers we have at the moment, you can see it in the center, or you can see it as a flower on its own as well. And do you see how those little shades we've created, they made a little bit of contrast as well? Another idea is to actually make a center with a tight coil, a straight tight coil. Secure it. Dome it a little and add some glue to the inside. exactly like we've done the other leaves, but without squeezing it. We want it to be a circular one. And now you can add your fringe all around the quill, which will create sort of a rose as well. Those can be great fillers on the bigger compositions, and we've got a couple today on our masterpiece. And here you go. Pretty easy, straightforward. Feel free to add some shadows here and there to dense it up, to make it more realistic. Markers are a great addition to blend in some colors and shades that you will not be able to do just with paper. And here you go. Different markers, different shadows. Back to more detailed flower, which is our main one. So here you've got a little tight quill, and around it I've used the tight coils but just in a different angle. Little small tight coils, probably the strip. I did cut it into 8 pieces. I simply secured it with the glue, and with those tight coils, instead of putting them flat, I just placed them on their side. This way. Just make a little round ring around it. Just a detail, and it can be of your own creation. You can play around. Alright, so let's try to do those 2 florals, and I'll give you some tips to guide you through. So basically both of the florals are made of teardrops. It's just the way that we assemble them. So in here I got a ready-made strip of paper, 3mm. I rolled it. Let it grow a little bit. And you can always use those circular round rulers if it helps you to keep the size consistent. Eventually, the more you practice, the more you'll see it as more visual. And this can be one of your petals. I like to dome it to give it more depth, but even if you didn't, it will still work. Try both and see which one you like more. Secure the layers with the clear glue to keep it fixed and to keep the dome shape in there. And it depends. So in the yellow one, I decided that I wanted the dome to be on the opposite side, so I'm gonna add the glue to the back side of it. So always add the glue to the back side, the side that you wouldn't see it, and make sure that it's still the transparent glue. You're gonna make another teardrop for that, because it's like a module thing. So if you want it to be the teardrop only, then you're gonna be doing just around radius 2 layers of them, and then assemble them all together. If you want it to do more of a more detailed flower, so you can do 2 of them. Give it a little dome, just a little dome. Secure it from the back with some glue. Just make sure you're using the transparent glue and you're adding the glue to the back side as well. Spread it evenly. Alright, so it's just a little volume that you can see from the side, but it gives it more depth and makes it more rich in a way. I'm going to combine them both, but I will also add a little marquise or eye shape in between them. So I'm gonna add another strip of paper, and you're free to use different colors, or maybe you want to have the marquise or the eye shape, which is like 2 pinches on the side, with an accent color. And this time you're going to pinch it on both sides, left and right, like an eye shape. And now you're going to combine the 3 of them with a 4th strip of paper. Add some glue to the side to be able to stick the two sides together. Time to attach. You can give it a little bend, like more shaped teardrop. Combine them together, squeeze them together to create the petal. And I had a little border around. I just added a third or fourth strip of paper to combine it and to keep it in the size, equal size for all of the petals. Do you see how this motion with those little domes in and out gave a little bit of density to your piece? So imagine if you're repeating this 8 times for the petals, or it depends on the size of the flower that you're making, it will definitely make a change. It doesn't have to be a full strip, so a half a strip can be more than enough for the size. And here you go. How pretty. Just keep doing more of them, attach them. So you've got a tight coil, place some of those tight coils on the side and then a little fringe around, and then attach your petals to that. And that's all. As simple as that. So quilling is very simple. It's just a couple of number of modules that you need to add together to create this pretty form. Another tip to help you to attach the petals is to create some big tight coils. It can be about 8 strips together, or even less or more, it depends on the size. Dome them, add some glue inside them, and those are like little cups that you can simply attach all of the petals to them, and they allow it to be more sturdy and long lasting, specifically that we have it 3D. Last but not least, our salmon color one, and you can see how I blended 2 colors together. So that's the little addition in here, that we are not just doing teardrops, but we're actually blending 2 colored strips together and making a teardrop. So that's the slight difference, and I just kept it as teardrops, but just 2 colors to give it this little bit of shadows and shades in between. Roll them together. Snip the excess and secure. Snip it so that the salmon color goes to the outside. Let it grow to your desired size. Just keep moving it that it's almost like a ripple. Then pinch it, 1 pinch in the middle. The moment you move it, the moment you will be realizing that it's more yellowish to that side, more orangey to that side. It's interesting. Just secure it with the glue, and that's 1 petal. You're free to do as many as you want. It depends on the size of your own flower, and you can make it 2 layers, 1 layer, or even 3. It's totally up to you. I usually prefer to dome my petals to give it more form into it and more motion. So this one, I just pushed it in and out a little bit to give it this form. And it's more natural to me, isn't it? Of course, we need to secure it always from the back or the side that is not showing, and always keep it a clear glue. So make the number as needed, pair your flower, and this one is pretty easy to assemble. It doesn't even require any base or anything. Time to learn about sealing our work. One of the most common questions is, how do you seal your work? And I do use lots of varnishes, but for this specific project, the botanical one and the more 3D ones, I do recommend the triple thick by Deco Art. It looks like a more resin, very thin layer. You just apply it with a brush. 1 layer is more than enough. And let's go to see how to assemble the work. So now that I have all my pieces sealed, the fun part begins, how to assemble them. To create your flower bouquet, there are multiple ways of assembly. So you can use a board, canvas board, or wooden piece, or anything. Just play around and enjoy. So you can use this as an option if you have maybe a cameo or a silhouette to create a wedding board or something like that. Here I will go with the central one, and I'm using the tacky glue by Allen's to start assembling my pieces. I tend to start by grouping little groups and gluing them together with the tacky glue. And taking photo of your assembly before you start gluing it with the adhesive helps a lot to keep it as a reference of how did you like it, but it's okay to change it here and there even after taking your shot. So now that I have the composition ready, I took a photo of it and I just kept it for my records just to refer to it. I started using the tacky glue on every surface that touches the base. You should add the glue on it, not too much glue, because tacky glue is one of the very strong glues that I've been using for a really long time, for years probably, and it never disappointed me with how little bit of glue can run for long, and it's faster for it to attach to the surface. So you're just gonna do that with all of the little groups that you've created, one after the other, and that's all. Hope you've enjoyed the tutorial and hope you keep on making more quillings and you keep on trying your own techniques and developing yours. This can only be a base, but you can definitely do tons of other compositions from the same elements that you have in here. What a beautiful piece, would love to see yours, so please tag us on OOC Studio and I would love to comment on your own pieces and see the colors that you're gonna come up with and enjoy the process, enjoy creating, and happy quilling everybody.